Hey everybody, it's us, Heather and Jenny and Leia.
Hi.
Let's do a little
Ooh,
close
let's
up.
set you up so you don't look
Hello, sweetheart. Hey everybody, this is Leia Rea, and she's actually almost 2 months old now.
2 months. We are so bad at making vlogs.
Yeah, we've been slackers, but we wanted to go ahead and do a vlog telling you about how the labor and delivery went. Even though it's been forever, right?
Yeah, and how mommyhood has been.
Yeah. So, okay, so my phone ran out of storage. We're starting again. Well, not starting again, but we're back. Okay, so I went into labor on my due date. Leia's cranky.
Sorry.
Oh, she'll be okay.
Sweetheart.
Let's see. So the day I went into labor was my due date. November 9th. Jenny made me go out to walk. So first we went out to lunch at Fuddruckers, and then
IKEA.
we went to IKEA and walked around for a very long time. And while we were there, we ran into her aunt, uncle, and cousin.
Which was totally random because they live like 2 hours away from where IKEA is.
And her aunt said to me, do squats, because I told my daughter to do go up and down, blah, 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 and she went into labor. So I was like, okay, fine. So I literally went into the bathroom at IKEA and did squats.
You want to see it?
I think I did like 5. It's not a lot, but...
No, but we also walked probably about 2 miles that day.
And then after that, we went to Jenny's mom's house and we went out to dinner. So at the restaurant, I started feeling kind of weird.
Sorry, guys.
I started feeling kind of weird. Aww. Pause.
Okay, here's Chunky Butt. She's gonna sit here and be entertained while we talk to you.
Okay. So we were at the restaurant eating, and I started to feel weird. I didn't think it was anything, though. Jenny's here. She's just helping baby.
Hi.
Yeah, like I was staring into space, and Jenny's mom was just like, oh, I think you're gonna go into labor. And I was like, oh, probably not. So we went after lunch, or after dinner, we went back to her mom's house, and then I was like, you know what, I'm really tired, I want to go home.
Mm-hmm. So we went home.
We got in the car, and in the car,
she was having cramping.
I started having cramping. It was actually contractions, but I didn't know. I was like, oh, I'm sure it's just Braxton Hicks, right? So we got home, and I was like, man, I keep having these cramps, and they're starting to hurt. So I went to the bathroom, and then came out to the front room where we're in now, and
we were watching Tangled.
Yes, we were watching Tangled, and I was bouncing on the birth ball, the exercise ball, and I was like, oh man, I just need to like get down on my hands and knees. So I got down and crouched over the ottoman, and all of a sudden, right after I had a contraction, my water broke, and I was like, sorry, my nose itches. I was like, oh my gosh, either I just peed my pants or my water broke. And I had only been having contractions for what, about half an hour?
If that.
And
so I started timing them.
Yeah, so she started timing them. I went to the bathroom to check to see if I had peed myself or if my water broke. And there was mucus in it, and there was quite a bit of fluid. Not a ton, not like a huge gush or anything, but
it was a pretty solid amount.
A pretty good amount, yeah. So I changed my underwear.
Put on a pad.
And while I was doing that, I called labor and delivery.
Yeah, well, Heather had me call labor and delivery, and the minute I told them my wife is in labor, they were like, yeah, we need to talk to her.
Mm-hmm. So they asked me what was going on, blah, blah, blah. We told them. They were like, okay, yes, you need to come to the hospital, and we'll see if you are really in labor. And I was like, dude, I'm totally in labor. I knew, right?
You knew.
And So we got everything together.
The contractions were really close together. I was kind of freaking out because I'm like, how did it intensify so quickly?
Yeah.
Because they were moderate contractions, moderate in strength, and they were about every 2 to 3 minutes apart, lasting for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, is she in active labor already? This is crazy. This doesn't seem like early labor, but it was.
Yeah. So we got in the car, was having contractions, started to really, really hurt, and called my mom and my sister, and let them know we were going to the hospital. And then we got to the hospital. They checked us into triage.
We were in triage for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it wasn't really that long.
It was really that long. It
didn't really feel that long.
Because we got there
at
about 10:30 and didn't get a room till midnight-ish.
Oh, okay. But so I got there. They it was funny. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna check your fluid and see if it's actually amniotic fluid if your water broke. And it was funny because I had been hell of leaking while they were doing everything else, and she lifted my sheet to check, and she was like, oh, yes.
Yeah, she was talking about how they were going to have to, like, take a sample and put it on a slide, and with her, it was just like, oh, nope,
yeah,
that's definitely
because there was, like, a ton of fluid and, like, a ton of mucus, and bleh, so gross. But, yeah, so then we got into a room. We weren't there very long before my sister and my mom got there. And let me just say this now, they did not need to be there yet at all, because I was in labor for 31 and a half hours.
And honestly, I had really been hoping to get some, like, private laboring time with Heather, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. So, for a while, you know, I just was walking around our room, and whenever I had a contraction, I held on to Jenny. I put my arms around her neck and was swaying and thinking and saying, oh my gosh, these are so close together. I thought that they were supposed to be farther apart and not this painful. And I didn't feel like I was getting a break at all from contractions.
Were pretty much right on top of each other. It was, like I said, it seemed like active labor, but it wasn't.
Yeah. So finally they came in and checked me, and I was only 1 centimeter, right?
Yeah, 1
And I
centimeter.
was like, you have to be freaking kidding me. Only 1 centimeter? This is ridiculous. So I think I was in labor total for about 4 to 5 hours before I said, screw this. I want my epidural now.
Yeah.
There was no way. It hurt too bad. There's no way I could have gone on in that pain and not been completely miserable. So, you want to pick her up now that she seems happier, or should we leave her?
I think she's content right now. I don't want to mess that up.
Okay. We'll make sure to get her on here more.
She's just really, really happy, and I don't want her to not be held and get fussy because she's being held and have to go through that again. So I just think leaving her sitting in her chair playing with the butterflies is best.
Yeah. So, so they gave me my epidural. I don't even know what time it was when they gave me my...
5 a.m., 4 a.m.
4 a.m. They gave me the epidural, and so the first time it did not work. It only was working on the left side of my body, and I could still feel my contractions. They were pretty painful. So they got the anesthesiologist after like a couple hours of it.
No, like half an hour, maybe.
An hour, half an hour. I don't know. It was hard to tell time then. So he came in and checked with me, and it turned out that the catheter had like curled up inside my back and was dripping liquid down my back, and so he had to take it out and redo it. And then it worked, and I was so happy because I couldn't feel him anymore.
Except that she misunderstood what the anesthesiologist had said. He said if you need extra pain relief, push the button, and you can push it up to 4 times an hour. She thought that she needed to push it up to 4 times an hour for pain management,
No. I thought that I needed to keep on top of it to give myself medicine. I didn't realize it was giving me a constant medicine.
So she was getting a constant
I was pushing it
and an extra dosage.
I was pushing it every hour on the hour because I thought that I had to give myself medicine for it to work at all. But that wasn't the case. So my legs, especially my left leg, were ridiculously numb. And I did that for hours, and I'm pretty sure that's why my labor lasted so long.
Yeah.
Because I overdosed.
You know, and we had been anti-progesterone and all those. That's the thingy, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Or not progesterone, Pitocin.
Pitocin, that's what I'm thinking.
So finally I gave in to Pitocin after many, many hours. Oh, because they checked again when they did the epidural and everything, and I was still only at 1. And then, like, hours later, I was at 4 or 5.
She had been in labor for 12 hours before she hit 4 centimeters.
Yeah, so it was just really long. I went through a whole day just sitting in a hospital bed, my numb-ass legs, not progressing. So they slowly started doing Pitocin, and finally I started progressing, like, in the evening on the 10th, right? So, yeah. So finally they checked, and I was starting to get the urge to push, and it was really uncomfortable. I was like, oh, I need to push, like, now, oh my gosh. But they checked me, and I was only at a 9, right?
Yeah, you were only 9 centimeters.
Then they made me wait for 2 more hours.
They were supposed to come check a half an hour to an hour later, but because somebody else was in labor and the midwife was the one who was supposed to check, the midwife was delivering, so they never checked. So finally, like, I called another nurse in there, and Heather was just like, I really want to push. I really feel like I need to push. And they checked her, and she was 10 centimeters. So the nurse finally had her start pushing.
They were, like, telling me, when they had checked and I was at 9, they were like, so don't push. Just, like, if you feel the urge, it's okay to, like, ride that feeling. But don't push. And I was like, oh, my God. No, I feel like I have to push. Like, oh, it was awful. So finally they came in there, and I pushed. I pushed for 4 hours.
And on top of that, the baby's was face up, and they're supposed to be face down. So the midwife had her hand up there and was trying to turn the baby. And, like, with her whole hand up there, it was putting pressure on Heather. So she was pushing because of the hand, not because her body wanted to. So the midwife was getting completely just annoyed by it, which...
I couldn't help it. Like, having her hand in there made me feel like I needed to push.
Yeah.
Now.
But so she was pushing for a long time without any contractions happening because the midwife's hand was in there.
So finally, after about 4 hours, I was getting exhausted, and they started saying, you know, oh, well, maybe we should consider suction or forceps, or maybe C-section. And they brought in a bunch of nurses and midwives and doctors, and they were about to seriously do one of those options. And all of a sudden it was like my body finally started doing what was right and pushed her out. Yeah.
After 4 hours of pushing, we finally saw the head.
Yeah. And then after that, she just flew out of me. Aw, sweetheart. Yeah, so...
And she's the most beautiful baby in the whole world.
So you did see the video of when they pulled her out and put her on my chest, and it was amazing.
Her sister was supposed to do video and photo, and she ended up oversleeping, so I'm, like, holding her leg up with one hand, watching her push the baby with the video camera in the other hand, like, trying to get everything. And when I cut the cord, like, I'm cutting the cord while filming it.
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy, but... and it's funny, because after she finally came out and everything, I was like, I'm never doing this again. I don't understand how people have more than one baby. But now I totally would do it again, because you totally do forget about the pain as soon as the baby comes out. It's crazy. But yeah.
So here's Leia Rea now. She's going to be 2 months old.
She is 2 months old.
Well, not technically until the 11th.
But she's 8 weeks.
She's 8 weeks and a few days old, but she'll be exactly 2 months old on the 11th. And we will do an update on her weight and all that good stuff in another vlog. We decided to do that separately, because this vlog is already really long. Say hello to everyone, honey. Say hello. Look at her chunky tummy. I'm a big baby. Alright, thanks guys for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
The first time thought the sun